Hello, this is Jeff and welcome to the KM Carnivore channel. Again, I am not a doctor. I am just sharing my journey on the carnivore diet and my personal results. This may or may not work for you, but I needed to share this as I feel it's very important that people get an idea and a sense of at least what's going on with me and my blood work and my results as a 54-year-old human living in the United States of America. So with that, hope you enjoy this video. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining into this video. Today I am going to go over my 1 year on the carnivore diet blood work analysis that I just had done. Also talk a little bit about my meeting with my cardiologist last week. But I just wanted to go over all this with you because it is rather interesting after 1 year. The changes that I have gone through personally, physically, and honestly, when I started a year ago, I would not have thought that most of this would have happened, but I am very excited that it did. So with no further ado, here we go. So just again, a quick kind of couple pictures if this is the first time that you're joining me on my channel. This is a picture of me here back in September of 2017, about 214 pounds. And then the next picture was last September after 6 months on carnivore, weighing in at 170. So you can see the big difference there. Really, 44 pounds is a lot for someone who's 5'9½". Again, the reason that I started the carnivore diet was to see if I could cure my calcific tendonitis. I got a picture of that here, circled in red. Again, seeing a video from Jordan Peterson and then his daughter Michaela Peterson with her issues with rheumatoid arthritis and hip replacement was the final video that got me to jump on this. And again, you can see September of 22 was 197 pounds. I did have another carotid ultrasound done just last week, technically March 6th. I had one of these done in 2016, just with age and some stuff. I just brought this up just to show you, especially if you look down here at the bottom, the part I have highlighted where it says compared to the prior study on 11/22 of 16, there are no significant changes seen, which is good. That's a good thing. I wish I would have had my fasting insulin checked before I started. I didn't know what that even was a year ago. Thanks to Dr. Bickman. That's something I watch and tell everybody about. But I did get two different random insulin tests or fasting insulin tests done. One was in August where I was a 7, which is still borderline insulin resistant according to Dr. Bickman. And then in January I got one and I got down to a 5, which was my goal. That makes me insulin sensitive. So as of January 5th, I was no longer insulin resistant, which I will go over in a different chart here later that I clearly was, probably for many, many, many years. I also had a high sensitivity CRP done. This measures inflammation in your body. I had the only other one I could find was back again in 16, was a 0.8, so not terrible. However, last August I was a 0.23, so I did drop that even though there's quite a few years in between there. 0.23 is really, really good, and that is just showing, again, no inflammation in my body at this point. I also had, as part of my annual physical, hemoglobin A1C. I've never really had this checked a whole lot in the past. I was at a 5.2, which is great. which I guess would be expected when you're insulin sensitive. I also had some other things checked that most people don't check that I would recommend. I got this off a video from Dr. Hyman and Dr. Bickman, just talking about cardiovascular health. I did have my fibrinogen checked, and that was normal or on the low end of normal, which is good, at a 201. And then I also had my homocysteine checked, was an 8.3. Again, that is low or good. So just a couple other factors there to look out for. I also had my ApoB checked. That was a 119. That is considered borderline high or high, but being now a lean mass hyperreactor, not a surprise that that is elevated. I also had my Lp(a) checked, which is a genetic marker for cardiovascular disease risk. And as you can see down here, I was less than 6, which is very, very low, which is good. And my cardiologist was very happy with that number. This was a cholesterol panel, standard cholesterol lipid panel that I had done in January for my physical. As you can see, my overall cholesterol was a 308. However, my triglycerides went down to an 80, and my HDL had jumped to an 82, which is the highest in my 54 years of being here that it has ever been, and it's not even close. My LDL was a 210, again, not surprising given I'm a lean mass hyperreactor. My cholesterol HDL ratio is the lowest it's ever been. And again, when you tie that in with the fact now that I am insulin sensitive, those are all really good things. I know some people are going to say, oh, my cholesterol is too high, my LDL is too high. My PCP doctor still thinks it's too high, even though my cardiologist is coming around to the fact that being a lean mass hyperreactor and all of my other factors being low or good, he's come around to the conclusion that he's not too concerned with my LDL, which is a big step. I will say I love my cardiologist. He's a younger doctor. He's very open-minded. I'm giving him lots of information on stuff I'm learning. He's been very receptive to it. We've agreed no medicine, no nothing other than just monitoring my blood work going forward at this point. And then again, as you can see, just in the last year, I have gone from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive and a lean mass hyperreactor in less than 1 year. My HDL to triglyceride ratio is at a 0.97. I've had the highest HDL ever in my lifetime, the lowest cholesterol HDL ratio ever in my lifetime. And I've gone from a small pattern B to a large pattern A, and I'm going to show you that here in a second, why that's important. So I did have another NMR lipid panel done here last week. These are the results of that. Total cholesterol again was high, which is expected. But some things not necessarily expected is my LDL size is at a 22. My small LDLP has gone down to a 478. My HDLP is at a 41. Those are kind of the big three, and I'll show you those in another chart here in a second. My large HDLP is at a 6.6. HDL size is at 8.9. LDL cholesterol 202 according to this one. HDL was at 65. Triglycerides were at 79. My large VLDLP is at a 1.8. And my VLDL size is a 49.1. But here's why that's important. This is a chart that measures, it's called an NML chart, but it is basically going through particle concentration and size of your cholesterol. So not just the total LDL, HDL, but actually what size the LDLs make up and what percentage of that is in your blood work. And as you can see here, in the top left corner, the black line was my original, or was the one I just did from 3/14 of 24. The blue line is the one I did in August on August 9th of 23, and the pink line was the original one I did when I first met my PCP. He had me do one of these, and I was at, that was back in 12/28 of 12, okay? And as you look at the first line here, the HDLP, you can see in the back in 2012, I was a 34.1. In August, I jumped that to a 39, and now I am a 41. And when you look where that it is moving on the chart, I'm actually moving way to the left and in a very good direction as far as lower CVD risk. If you look at the small LDLP, back in 2012, I was an 899, way to the right, not in a good spot. I have now moved it kind of more in the middle left at a 468 back in August, and I jumped to a 478 here in March. And then LDL size, again, probably one of the most important things. Again, small LDLs like a golf ball size, LDL size at a 22 where I'm sitting is more like a beach ball size, and so those have a much harder time getting through the epithelial wall and into your artery. And as you can see here, back in 12, I was a 20.8. So still in pattern A, but at the very right end of that. In August, I was a 21.7, so it had gotten better, and now I am up to a 22. So as you can see, when you look at those three numbers charted, I am moving to the lower CVD risk, even though I eat roughly less than 30 grams of carbs a day. I have high-fat steaks, bacon, eggs, cheese. I've incorporated like macadamia nuts, but for the most part, it's pretty much steak for me, high-fat steak. And my cardiologist was a little blown away by my chart, because I brought this for him and I said, can you explain this to me, given my diet? And he knows about my diet, and he said, no, not really. But he did say, keep doing what you're doing, because the chart is what it is, right? It goes against everything that we have been taught, and that he has been taught in medical school, because it doesn't make sense that I can go eat a super high-fat diet full of saturated fat and cholesterol and red meat and bacon, and yet my particle size numbers are moving in the good direction, and not by a little bit, but very, very, very nicely moving to the positive. So I did want to share this with you because it's worth sharing. I have no problem giving out my personal medical history, because I think it's important that people understand, do their research, because it does go against everything we've been taught. And you know, it's been an interesting year. I've done just a ton of different research on videos, and read some articles and some papers and different things where I've had to deprogram my brain, honestly, because you know, where I was sitting, doing what we were told to do, had put me in a not very good spot. And I feel like I'm on a much better path. Even though my LDL is high, I am not worried about that whatsoever at this point, after looking at this chart and seeing where my numbers really are going. And the fact that I have gone from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. I will have more videos as we go. Sorry for the delay here, but I figured this was very, very important after 1 year of sharing this information. I'm excited for my future. I'm excited to share and become a bigger voice in this arena. With that, we have some more cooking videos coming down the road. Please, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button right here. And until next time, do your research, take control of your blood work, take control of your health. It's very, very important. And with that, last little bit, I do want to give a shout out here. I can't say enough, and a giant thank you to Dr. Ben Bickman for all the work he is doing to get this information out to the world. In my eyes, Doctor, you are a hero. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel, Insulin IQ. It is just full of information presented in a way where us average people can understand what's going on at a cellular level and within your body. So with that, again, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until then, stay safe. Thank you.